Okay, we're joined again. It's early Sunday evening. We're joined again by Christopher. And am I the only one who still calls you Christopher? I don't think I've asked you that lately.
You and Mom.
Okay, but mostly me. You're welcome.
I am. I'm back home, back in the warm. My voice is gone. My voice is gone after being at USA Canada on Saturday.
I know. Is that alcohol voice or is that weather voice? What is that?
No, that's shouting voice. That's shouting at USA Canada, shouting at USA Finland, and singing, and then singing with the boys all weekend. Just Mike Ryan playing music on a Touch Tunes, and me and the boys just belting out songs all night.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Give me an example of what one of the songs was.
You're a rich girl and you don't need one, and you know it don't matter anyway.
All right.
You can rely on your old man's money. You can rely on your old man's money. You're a rich girl.
Okay. Hall and Oates. Mostly Hall, very little Oates. But we love that song.
Where are you? And I'm so sorry. I cannot breathe. I cannot sleep tonight.
Okay, I don't know that song. Okay, I don't know that song. I'm at a bar. Your mother and I are in a bar watching the game, the U.S.-Canada game. I still can't wrap my mind around 3 fights in 9 seconds.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, even by hockey standards.
Right. Well, the Kachucks are crazy people. And we have 2 of them.
Yeah, and their dad was crazy, and it's inherited.
And they play,
as you know.
And they've never gotten to play on the same team, I don't believe, in many years. So, Kachuk starts the game doing what he does, challenging Eichel. And Eichel, just who doesn't really fight, is like, you know what? I'm not going to back down.
Yeah.
And then Bennett teammates with Matthew Tkachuk. The very next puck drops the gloves with Brady. And it's just, and then
crazy.
And then Brady skates over to the box and you see him and Tkachuk lock hands. Like, oh man, I'm telling you, I had high expectations for USA Canada. It blew out my expectations.
I mean, I'm going to ask you this because it was so crazy. And this is a big tournament. I mean, this is a big tournament. These teams really wanted to win. How does this rank among that game? How does that rank among your all-time live at that sporting events? Because it has to be pretty high.
That first period, I'm going to remember forever. I'm going to tell my grandkids about that first period.
Right.
Like it was a easily top 10 sports moment for me. Just maybe I'm being prisoner of the moment and I'd have to really think about it, but it's like, I almost want to say top 5, but I'm going to have some perspective and I'm not going to do that. But it was just, I thought it was going to be bleeping awesome. And it was like 3 times as awesome as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'm going to predict that that's top 5 for you, unless it is supplanted because the same 2 teams play again in the championship game Thursday, which could happen. Right.
No, I know. And while we're in it, we're like, this isn't actually that important. Both these teams can lose and still make it.
Right.
So but regardless, the way that it started with the fights, the crowd losing its mind when McDavid gets that first goal.
Right.
Like one of the loudest arenas I've ever been in. Like that was a whole shit. And then we tie it up and it's just, oh, what a period. That first period, I'm telling you, I've never really been at a sporting event where both fan bases are walking out of that first period just literally being like, how about that? Like,
I know.
How bleeping cool was that? Like it was just consensus by everyone. Like, holy shit, what we just saw was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even want to bring up my complaint about they should ban fighting in hockey because, I'm going to give it a pass. It was great.
Yeah, I was going to say, you believe that after that?
I don't know because the fans love it too much. You can't quit on that. Now, before we move away, how were the fans? Because when we talked to you earlier in the episode, you were talking about how Canadian fans seem to hate U.S. fans now for partly political reasons. What was the crowd like for USA Canada?
it was, you know, as a group, they boo. They're very nice
Right.
individually. Like zero Canadians like came up to us in our face and was like, "Hey, America sucks. What the hell are you guys doing?" Like,
Right.
it was just when the anthem played, they booed. Like, I all the interactions I had with Canadians, very nice, but
Yeah.
it felt hostile when it was like anytime we would chant USA, instant boos. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that is politics. It felt,
Right.
maybe I'm just, you know, maybe I don't know. It felt like it was political.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Like, and I was so, having been at the game at 1 o'clock and then the USA game at 8,
Right.
the boys had gotten after it by like late in this USA game.
You think?
I'm not gonna lie, like when you get booed for like 3 straight days, you become a Trump supporter, even if you're not. Like,
Okay, a jingoist.
did me
Yes.
and my group potentially at one point chant 51st state, 51st
Oh
state,
no.
and did a couple Canadians maybe take it a little too serious, and we had to be like, listen, we're bleeping around, all right? Let us have this moment.
That's hilarious. I don't know what is, and I'm not getting into politics here, but among all the ridiculous things Trump has said in his first month in office,
No,
I
that's
don't know
why.
what's-
I mean, that's why we're doing it. We're doing it because of what a
Right.
ridiculous thing is for Trump, but like, us being drunk idiots just trying to be funny. Like, a couple Canadians were like, "Hey guys, seriously, like, don't chant that."
Yeah,
Where we had to literally be like, "Okay, fine, we're just kidding." Like,
that's
Like-
hilarious.
like,
That is
don't-
funny.
I think one of our guys did be like, "Okay, you can boo our national anthem, but like now this offends you." Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
I-
but
I am-
once again, see how I sound? I sound like a Trump supporter. Like, I'm not, like, it was just, it was such a content. Like, there were moments where you felt like your back was up against the wall for you. So you get defensive,
Right.
even though like I'm not necessarily a Trump supporter, but
Right.
it
Yeah.
just, you're in that setting and all of a sudden I'm chanting 51st state. I don't know what
No.
happened.
And on the top three of ridiculous Trump statements in his first month in office, number 3 is Gulf of America instead of Mexico. Number 2 is buying Greenland. And number 1 is making gigantic Canada the 51st state. It's so ridiculous. It's hilarious.
I'm going to buy Greenland and call it Trumpland.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. But I want to move off hockey. I want to talk to you about one more thing because as soon as we hang up, I'm making an early Sunday dinner because your mother and I'm not blaming it on her. We want to watch not only the SNL 50th anniversary tonight, Sunday night, but we want to watch the red carpet. Okay. And I want to ask you a question because 50th anniversary, you have to be in your 60s to really consider Saturday Night Live a part of your growth, a part of your upbringing. And somebody like you, what is your relationship with SNL? Because I think by the time you were old enough to really watch late night TV, if you did at all, it was already sort of in a has-been stage. What's your relationship with SNL?
I think it's fine. I'm a fan of comedy, so I appreciate good sketches. I don't watch it religiously. If it's a host I'm interested in, I see the monologues on social media.
Right.
I am very interested as well in watching this because the 40th was great. I remember. So,
Yeah.
I'm interested in it. I know that's not very I wouldn't go much further than that. It's not.
Okay.
But like, I think everyone has like the take of it was the best when I was in my 20s. Like, everybody
Yeah.
thinks SNL, like, I would say the Will Ferrell, era is
Okay.
so that's when I was in my 20s. You would probably say, Belushi and Chevy Chase, which was probably when you were in your 20s. So,
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, and Chevy Chase.
right. And I'm not
Okay?
disagreeing.
And
Look,
Jane Curtin. I mean,
I'm like, I think those were both great eras. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, Will Ferrell's era was better, but that's just, for me, I connected with those Will Ferrell.
yeah. No. And I love Will Ferrell, but you got to understand, and I know we have a younger demographic among our listeners, and a lot of people hear me as like their dad or even their grandfather or their crazy weird uncle. But when SNL began, and it was sort of revolutionary because it wasn't Johnny Carson, it was like comedy, it was like fun, it was like music, it was irreverent. I'm like 18, 20, 22 years old, just going out of high school, experiencing college. That's when everything happened for me with SNL, and it's literally been the soundtrack of my life, the laugh track of my life, and so I've really appreciated it. It's had ups and downs. No, don't get me wrong. It's had ups and downs.
You just made it seem like you are a big SNL fan, and I just have never in my 37 years of life seen you be like, hey, gotta get home tonight. I want to watch, like, maybe when Elton John's performing. Like, I just think this was a fine topic to bring up, but don't like take it to like you are this connoisseur of SNL.
Okay. I think you caught me a little bit on that. I don't watch every single week.
You don't watch any week.
No, that's not true.
You might, like me, see clips online, watch a monologue here.
Yeah. Or watch the replay after the fact. Yeah, I admit
like, this is a classic. You're having a Stu Gatz moment here where you're just you're getting hyperbolic, and all of a sudden you're this like, I have watched almost every, like, good God, have you not watched almost every episode? No, I have
not. I never said I watched every episode, but
who are the weekend update hosts currently?
I have no idea.
I mean, this is like, is I just caught, like, if you can't just say that it's Michael Che and Colin Jost, like, I'm not an SNL guy.
I knew that. I'm
not an SNL guy, but it's just like, that is just common knowledge. So it's like,
I just forgot their names.
You just represented yourself as an SNL like connoisseur, like, you know, as if you're like tasting a glass of wine, like a bottle of wine, and they're pouring in a little SNL, and you're the one that gives it a taste. Like, oh, this is good SNL. This is good.
I don't think I've represented myself as a connoisseur. I think I've represented myself as a longtime appreciator.
I mean, Colin Jost, Michael Che, that was epic.
Okay. Yeah, they're pretty good. And by the way, I don't watch SNL live unless the host or the musical guest I really love.
I want to keep playing this game. Who's the main executive producer, decision maker for SNL?
Lorne Michaels.
Okay. I mean, if you didn't know that, I was just going to end the episode right now.
Okay.
Which we can do anyways, I think. What time is it?
Yeah, let's do that on that note. I never tell you that I appreciate you being on the episode because it's sort of your job and you're paid for it. But in this case, I really do, because you've had a long weekend.
I'm exhausted.
You had a long day of travel. This is the last thing you want to do, but no, I appreciate it. Thank you, son.
I was supposed to fly back Sunday afternoon at 1:45 p.m., but there was a big snowstorm coming into Montreal, like in the afternoon on Sunday. So all of us, some of us had early flights, but most didn't. So the rest of us had to bump up our flights, spend a bunch of extra money to get out of there at 7 a.m. And one of our other buddies had a 6:30 flight, so we like rode together. So I had to get there like even earlier than I needed to, just to like for the 6:30 flight guy. And so I'm like at the airport at like 4.
Wow.
Like, you know, we were out till like, you know, celebrating USA Canada. Like I got like zero sleep. You can hear it in my voice.
Imagine. Yeah. I am impressed you made that flight. Seriously.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy.
It was a sunglasses on kind of flight.
I can only imagine. Well, thank you again, kid. I appreciate it. And let's wrap up this episode. Let's just say the usual. Thank you for our listeners. And I never take you for granted, meaning not you, Christopher. I don't take you for granted either, but our listeners. Never take you for granted. Thank you very much. Love you all. And you know what? We're going to see you next week. Got an extra special episode coming up next week. Extra special. Okay?
I don't think it's not actually special.
Yeah,
it's going to be a pretty standard episode, I'd say, next week.
It could be, but it could be extra special if I pull something out my ass.
That would make it more special.
You're damn right it would. Good night, everyone.
One of my friends almost stole a steak knife from a restaurant.
What do you mean?
He was walking out with a steak knife because he thought it'd be funny until like me and another kid were like, hey, you probably shouldn't be walking around with a steak knife in your pocket.
No.
Because we're about to go bar hopping. I don't think a steak knife is a good thing to be leaving. He's like, isn't that hilarious? And I was
No.
like,
No.
Shout-
You know what's hilarious? A spoon. Okay? Do a spoon. Steak knife? No. Spoon? Funny.
The irony is me and that guy that stole the knife spooned later that night.
Whoa! Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yo!
All right. Hey, all three.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know. Out my ass.
Can we end this episode?
Yes, please. You got the button. Put your, you get your hand on the button.
The never-ending episode.
Thank you. Good night.